At BlazeAid, we like to roll up our sleeves and get the job done. But actually, sometimes rolling up your sleeves is not a good idea. We're all aware of what the hot sun can do out there, making bushfires worse, but we often forget what the hot sun does to us.
That's true. Every bit of sun we get out here is adding up.
That's Professor Victoria Ma. She's an expert. Anyway, at BlazeAid, it's essential that you look after yourself while you're looking after others who've been smashed by natural disasters. So that means if you're working out in the sun, you've got to wear a hat. Not a cap, but a good, solid, wide brim. Long sleeves, long pants and gloves.
Clothing is a really great first barrier, but it's not the whole story. Sunscreen is still really important to cover up all those places that you can't cover with clothing.
So on those long hot days when you're out there in the paddocks and stations helping others, you need to look after yourself and pass that BlazeAid skin test. So if you can't smell that sunscreen on your body, it's time to reapply.
So that even counts when it's not a beautiful sunny day like this. You can still get caught out and get too much UV.
And you can trust the professor because, as I've said, she is an expert. So remember, it's wide-brimmed hats, it's the long sleeves, it's the long pants, and wear our gloves to protect the backs of our hands, and the sunscreen. Remember to reapply it every 2 hours when you're out there in the hot sun, and that's it.
I can't thank them enough. I don't feel that my saying thank you is enough to express how grateful I am for their help. I'm one of these sorts of people that rarely ask for help, but I came to the conclusion that this is bigger than me. I can't do it all, so I had to swallow my pride and go and ask for help.
Look at that. Hey, you got a good fence. It's lovely. Yep. Yep. And like I said, makes us feel good too. After that time when it finally could say, oh, there's no more fires, then you sort of sit back and that's when it probably really hits you, and because you have slowed down that bit and you sort of think, how am I going to keep doing this?
And nice to have you back here on the Country Telegraph. BlazeAid is a stunning example of Australian community and volunteer support. BlazeAid was established in 2009 by Kevin and Rhonda Butler after the Black Saturday bushfires, and I can recall those so clearly. Seems like yesterday. They had approximately 3 kilometres of fencing burnt on their property, allowing hundreds of sheep to get out onto the roads, causing a traffic hazard and impeding fire trucks and other emergency service vehicles from continuing their response to the fires. The repairs to their fences were expected to have taken the Butlers somewhere between 3 and 4 months. However, Kevin put out of the paper, local rag, requesting assistance. Now, as good communities do, he had a great response with around 25 volunteers coming to help, and the fences were rebuilt within a week, and that's amazing. But that's what farmers do, by the way, and small communities do. The pair wanted to give back, and so they did. During the first year, volunteers worked out of the Butlers shearing shed, their farm becoming somewhat of a tent city filled with people, and of course their vans from all over the country and the world. Now the camp ran for 11 months, where they cleared 500 kilometres of burnt fences and rebuilt an additional 500 kilometres. BlazeAid has responded to natural disasters every year since 2009. For example, during the 2019-20 mega fires, BlazeAid set up 45 camps around the country to help rebuild it. In many areas, the fires were so intense that they scorched the ground so significantly that native grasses and perennials were unable to grow. That's how severe it was. Kevin Butler is founder and president of BlazeAid. And Kevin, thank you for joining us.
Oh, hi, Mike.
Now, you wear a hat. You still wear a hat?
I do, and it's the same hat. I've been out on the farm today fencing on my own, and yeah, so yes, I do.
It's an amazing organisation. I look at all the organisations that help farmers out, from those delivering bales of hay to those helping with finance and all that sort of stuff. It shows you, though, that, take away the cap city bit, look at the communities in the bush. It shows you that the Australian spirit is still there, isn't it?
Oh, well, I think you're right. The further you go out from the cities and experience the farmers and the people who live in the bush, the more you understand about the community spirit, and it's because we rely on each other a lot for oh, it's just so much. We all know our neighbours. And one of the keys for survival is getting on well with your neighbours and helping them out, and vice versa. So yes, you're right.
Tell us about these camps. I mean, just the logistics of the camps would be enough to send someone over the top, just about, because it's not just one or two, it's a whole bunch of them. Tell us what goes into setting up a camp. And I know right now you're after volunteers too.
We are. We'd love more volunteers. We've got about 150 out every day, but we could take an army, because the recent fires in that Longwood area are about 3 times more destruction on farmland than Black Saturday. So it is huge. But look, setting up a camp, BlazeAid's now a really well-oiled machine. And we've got coordinators who take over a camp and run it perfectly. So after a natural disaster like the several we've just had, the local community, most local communities now in Australia have heard of BlazeAid, and we're probably the go-to organisation to get the help to rebuild, especially the fencing. So they'll make someone in the community, it could be a farmer, it could be the daughter of a farmer, it could be the CEO of the local Shire Council, or even the mayor. They'll give me a ring, or our CEO a ring, and just say, look, we need help. And we say, okay, find us a place so we can. And then it could be a sports ground, recreation reserve, and then with dining, showers, toilets, and so on, a room for caravans. And then, once we've got that allocated to us, we can use it for several weeks. Then we let the dogs loose, so to speak. We advertise it as far and wide as possible that we're setting up a camp at, Longwood, Euroa, or Jellybrand, or Skipton, Harcourt. And, the volunteers seem to spirit in, which is great. So we've got about 45,000 volunteers that have helped us in BlazeAid, and the word gets around. But still, we love more volunteers to help, because, we've got thousands of kilometres of fencing to rebuild, and it's 7 days a week.
And isn't it funny, because I know you guys get some good mileage publicity-wise and stuff in the bush, but for those in the cities, they probably think fence, but it's so important, isn't it? I mean, what do you think's more? I mean, I know the at the end of the day, the fence being built is important, but what about the actual, what it does to someone's mental state, to actually have a whole bunch of people there saying, hang on, we're going to help you?
Well, the mental state is number one. As a farmer, and I'm a farmer myself, I run about 1,500. If I've got no fences because of a fire, I've got no farm, and without a farm, well, I haven't got an income. I can't keep the farm without fences. Um, and the fences will take a farmer like myself up to 40 years to build, and you've got to maintain them. But the fire will take that fence away in a matter of 4 hours. So the stress levels can be enormous, particularly if you've lost stock as well in the fires. And the urgency of getting that fence up is really paramount. So, many of the farmers might find it hard to get out of bed with the stress of what they've lost. But, when BlazeAid has turned up, work shoulder to shoulder, it just reverses things around a lot. And they sort of, their spirits start building. But, some farms were on there for 6 weeks building their fences, shoulder to shoulder with them. So it's up there with oxygen as far as importance of the farm, because you just cannot let your stock run on roads. They've got to be contained, and BlazeAid does the internal fences as well for the farmers. So pretty well whatever the fire took out or the flood took out, we reinstate with the farmer again. So it's a tremendous stress reliever for farmers getting that help. BlazeAid also helps with materials if they need help buying materials, but many of the farmers are really happy just by supplying the materials themselves and having the BlazeAid volunteers give them a hand to put it up.
Tell me how, when you lost your fence and you and your wife thought, we're up the creek without a paddle here, what are we going to do? Before you had all those people in the community come and give you a hand, how were you feeling at that stage? Were you thinking, the enormity of it is just too much?
Yeah.
And what did you do though to get through?
I felt that this is going to put me in Ward 9. I felt very stressed. I knew that I still had to run my farm, and I felt that, well, by the time I get it done, it's going to be too late. And look, it was one of those moments. I clearly remember making the decision to to put an ad in the local rag, as you said, and I thought, I've got to do something. Because I'm just not going to handle it. So had I not have done that, I think if I didn't reach out and ask for help, I would have been in dire straits, because what happens with a fire is that there's a lot of trees that fall over on the fence lines, and that needs cleaning up as well. And often the ground is really super hard, and it's, driving a crowbar into hard ground is like trying to drive a crowbar into cement. The posts are very hard to drive in, and it's sort of like building a house, on your own. You need the help. Thankfully, it worked out really well with volunteers and family and friends, and we got it done in 7 days, and that was life changing for me. I was almost crying with appreciation, and Rhonda was too. She was there cooking the meals for the volunteers and bringing them out morning and afternoon tea, and we just stayed at it. And that was really the model that we created BlazeAid on. That we make sure we feed the volunteers really well and look after them, and we stay at the job until it's done.
What about the volunteers? I mean, tell us about them. I mean, you're talking about blokes that have another life, and they roll up their sleeves and say, we're going to give you a hand. Tell us about these, how important they are, not only to you though, but to I think to the entirety of Australia.
Yeah, look, the volunteers are the salt and earth of Australia. They're just extraordinary giving people. They come with love, and they give out their love in volumes. I don't know. I talk a lot to the volunteers and ask them why they're here. Many of them are pay it forward people, and that they were helped many years ago when they were burnt out, and they want to help now. Look, they come from all walks of life. The average age is about 65. We've got backpackers from all over the world who are very, very happy about, building up their visa days, the 88 days, so they can stay in the country for another year or two. Look, They just come from all walks of life. You know, nurses, teachers, housewives, ex-farmers, ex-policemen, teachers. Just, you know, it's amazing the scope of the people, just the variety of people who come and help. There's students, I know at the moment there's students from Timbertop up at Longwood. There's about 100 of them that are there, I think, for a week, camping and helping the farmers. Yeah, it's just all walks of life, and as long as they've got a positive attitude and they can stand up, you know, hold a crowbar, poke a wire through a fence hole, a post hole, and tie a dropper on, crack a joke, be a part of the team. We would love to have them, and yeah, we've had a lot of them, and they keep coming back. I think the average stay of a volunteer is around about 12 working days, which is just extraordinary. But
Isn't it?
we look after them, we feed them really well, we help them with accommodation. Nowadays we've got the fuel subsidy of about $1.50 per litre from their home, and returning to home as well. Of course, they get free fuel at the base as well. They get to learn how farmers produce our food and fibre, so they mix, you know, shoulder to shoulder with the farming families. It's a really incredible experience, and I mean, I've seen grown men cry when they're leaving BlazeAid. And I thought, what are you crying about? I thought you'd love to go. You must be exhausted. And they said, well, it's been such a moving experience. So it's one. Look, BlazeAid, I never dreamed it would become like this, because it's hard volunteering and it costs money. But BlazeAid is one of those fortunate not-for-profits that seems to keep on getting bigger and bigger. And I think it's because we're all volunteers. We've only got 2 paid people in our whole organisation. We've got wonderful support from corporates and from mums and dads all around Australia, and it means that we're able to run camps anywhere in Australia, no matter how remote they are. Cape York Peninsula is the latest one that'll probably go over the line in the next few weeks. Julia Creek, you know, Western Australia, it doesn't matter where it is, we're able to run a camp. It costs us up to $5,000 a week to feed the volunteers and equip and, you know, get all the resources up there. We've got 250 combat-ready trailers that are full of fencing tools and equipment. We've got 4-wheel drives that we've got to maintain, and service and register and so on, ensure to get the volunteers out to the fence lines. And we've even got caravans to support volunteers if they haven't got a swag or a tent of their own. And we've got these things called swift shelters as well, which are used in the earthquake areas. In Turkey and other places, we've bought a whole swag of those so that our volunteers have got you know, warmth at night and lighting as well. So yeah, we're a very big, well-oiled machine now, and I think we've done about $500 million worth of work for the local community. Around about 18,000 kilometres of fencing has been done, and similar amount has been rolled up or cleaned up as well, maybe a little bit more with that. We've had about 150 base camps plus in Australia with cyclones, floods and fires and droughts. And I think we've only had about 2 weeks off in the last 17 years. But it's been terrific, you know. Volunteers just, you know, I think Australia rides on the volunteers' back.
It does. What do you need now, though? What do you need from Australia?
Oh, volunteers, yeah. And look, if anyone can come for a day, a week, or whatever, just ring, you know, Google BlazeAid current camps, choose a camp, ring up the coordinator and say, look, I'll be there on Thursday evening, you know, can I have dinner with you? And I'm ready to start on Friday. That's the way to go. Just come. We go 7 days a week. In Victoria, in the Longwood fires, we expect to be going there until about Christmas of this year because of the magnitude. So it's going to be a pretty cold winter up there, so I'll need plenty of coats and warm gear. But yeah, that's what we need. The volunteers are really the backbone of BlazeAid.
But, you know, I mean, 'cause I am from the land originally. Very poor farmer. I've been told not to say that, but I was. But you know, the thing about the bush, and I love the bush, love the fresh air and all that sort of stuff. I can't stand the flies and the ants. You know, because the ants are like cattle, and the flies they're like Spitfires or big jets or whatever. They're terrible things, and you swallow them. I mean, I don't know how you can fix that part up. I mean, did you tell me you would have seen some funny stories at some of the, especially from overseas, middle of summer. Here they are. They're out in the hot sun, first day at work. They've stayed awake half the night because they don't know what's crawling around near them. Out in the middle of the of nowhere, about 10:30, I think, probably 11 in the morning, they'd be starting to feel it, wouldn't they?
Well, they don't complain. When you were talking then about the flies, I was thinking of Julia Creek and other places in Western Queensland after the floods, and they say the midges and the flies. I've seen that they are quite horrific. So no, that we do buy out the local stores of Bushmans and area guards and that sort of thing. Look, ants are not really a big challenge.
Until they bite you.
No, many of them are meat ants, and look, we've got the good gear on. We're all working, wearing boots and gloves, so the bites are almost zero or incredibly minimal. And we've got a buddy system going. Everyone's got to work with a partner, and we look out for each other. So no, those two things really haven't hit the horizon very much. The volunteers from all over the world, those young backpackers. Well, they've got great thighs and calves and strong arms, and no, they are just awesome. That they don't complain. I think they come from countries where maybe the lifestyle is not as good as what we have in Australia, and they're certainly fed extremely well at BlazeAid, and they love it, and they love the security, the safety, the camaraderie. So no, they don't have a challenge with that. It's one of those things that, when you volunteer at BlazeAid, you start early in the morning, with the bacon and eggs breakfast or whatever you want. You make up the ingredients for your lunch, and you take a lunch out to the farmer. There's a safety talk where we go over safety with the volunteers, and then we go out in groups. So we might be on, up to 7 farms a day, 4 or 5 people in the team, meet and greet with the farmer, find out what the job is, whether it's rolling up wire or, putting in posts or putting, wires through fences, through fence posts. And they actually see a fence being built, and to start with nothing except burnt posts and old charred wire one day, and then 4 or 5 days later, if not earlier, sometimes it's the same day if they're really, really efficient crew, there's a new fence built. And it's really exciting. And the volunteers come back at 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening, and they're on a high because they've achieved something. That physically they feel tired, and they shower up, have a big dinner, have a talk with their friends. There's usually a fencing report by the team leader, a few laughs, and then a lot of the volunteers go to bed at 7:30, 8 o'clock, and then they're awake and ready to go the next morning at 5, to 6 o'clock. So it's really a great marriage.
It is. It's fantastic. I've got to say, I tip my hat to you, sir. I think you're doing a magnificent job. My dad always told me he always hid the 12 gauge when I got worried about flies or ants, because I might have taken some of the neighbours along with them. So we never had the 12 gauge for that, but I did have a lot of regard. And then I decided that Melbourne or Adelaide looked much, much more appealing. Terrible, isn't it? Kevin Butler, founder and president of BlazeAid. If somebody wants to volunteer or to help, how do they do that?
Oh, very simple. Just Google BlazeAid current camps, or go to our website, blazeaid.com.au. All the information's there. So, yeah, very simple. And look, just ring up the coordinator, and there'll be a phone number there for the coordinator, and just have the conversation on when you're going to come, how many of you there are, what accommodation you need or what you have, and yeah, discuss it with the coordinator, and yeah, it's been done thousands of times over the last 17 years, and yeah, it just goes extremely well. Yeah, yeah.
Good on you, mate. You, I'll have to buy you a beer one day. And actually, I'm very, very tight. I'm a cheap stroke. I'll have to tell you about the beer I was going to buy you. But look, take care, Kevin. A great chat. We'll do this more often, I think, because I think you have some great stories to tell. Some truthful too.
Yeah. Oh, yes, they're all truthful. There's a lot of great stories there of just you know, I guess mates helping mates, and there's some funny things that have happened, and yeah, we can do that one day.
Good on you, mate. Thank you. Kevin Butler, thank you very much. This is the Country Telegraph.